Hello and welcome. You're watching Ask PQ on Bloomberg Quint. I am Agam Akil. Hi, Alex.
Hey, Agam. Well, if you've got questions on equity, this is a perfect show for you. You can send those questions to us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and WhatsApp. You can also call us on 022-454-04141, or you can mail us on askpq@bloombergquint.com. Just make sure to add the Ask PQ hashtag.
Okay, let's take a look at the markets right now. Well, the Nifty trading largely flat. And again, it's been another quiet day of trade, as you can see on your screen there. It's the same for the Sensex, not too much to speak for. And again, coming down to the Nifty Banking Index, that is also, well, largely flattish. Again, very quiet day of trade, save for Yes Bank, which has actually advanced in today's day of trade. We're actually looking at weakness otherwise, and that's down by as much as 0.5%. Let's take a look at the big movers and perhaps the gainers. Let's start off with the gainers, and Yes Bank will figure in that list. As you can see, it's up as much as 5%, followed by Wipro as well as Indiabulls Housing Finance. A word on some of these NBFCs considering a relaxation of norms when it comes to securitization for some of these companies. You also have M&M, Tech Mahindra and Maruti Suzuki advancing in trade. Taking a look at the losers on the indices, we have weakness in HPCL, down 3%, Tata Motors and Bharti Airtel, among others, which are also losing out in trade. But all in all, a very quiet start to the new expiry, Alex.
All right, that's how we stand with regard to the markets as of now, but let's get our two experts in for the day. We've got Sharmila Joshi, who's joining us remotely. She's an independent investment advisor. And we've also got Dyaneshwar Padwal, who's joining us in the studio. He's from KIFS Securities. They're both here to answer all of your questions. Welcome to the show, both of you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to start with one of the queries that we've already got, and I finally figured it out, by the way, Agam. It's because we are a scheduled post on YouTube. People can put in their comments in advance. Right. So, which is why it was, something that was confusing me for a long time. But anyway, let me take Neeraj Chauhan's question. He's asking for a long-term view on Supreme Industries, and he's asking if he can start buying at current levels. What's the view here, Sharmila, on Supreme Industries, down about 0.7% in trade today, just under that 1,000 mark?
No, I'm afraid, but I don't cover the stock, so maybe you can take a technical view.
All right, so we'll do that. Can you pull up Supreme Industries and see where it's at right now? Let's also pull up a slightly longer term chart to see how the trend has been. It's down about 0.7% today, as I mentioned. This year, it's down about 23.7%.
Yeah, good afternoon, Alex. If you look at the overall chart structure on he wanted to invest for a longer term view, so we go to the monthly charts. But recently we have seen that the intermediate trend line has been broken down. So rather going long, so one should wait for stock to be more corrected towards the 800 level. So that could be a great opportunity. Okay.
All right, that's your view on Supreme Infra. Now, I'm going to take a long-term view from Rahul Tiwari. He wants a long-term view on Canfin Homes and Care Ratings. Let's pull up each one of them and perhaps take a fundamental view here. Canfin Homes is currently up around 1.8% at 272, and Care Ratings, again, it's been buzzing, but it's currently at, showing marginal losses for now at around 958 odd levels. Sharmila, are any of these on your radar? Would you care to comment on either Care Ratings or Canfin Homes?
Well, let's talk of Canfin Homes first. Definitely, it's a stock that I like, and we've seen it correct in these last 2-3 months because of everything that's happening in the housing finance companies and the kind of concerns around all these companies. But that said, I think that perhaps now the stock is a good stock to my mind. But you need to be a little cautious and at the same time a little careful when you invest in these companies because of everything, because of the news flow really. So I think even if you want to start buying, I would suggest that you do like a staggered approach and buy in smaller amounts. Coming to Care Ratings, I think we've seen again because of all the issues that have cropped up in all these housing finance companies as well as NBFCs, ILFS, etc. The role of any rating agency has never been as important as we've seen in the recent past. So definitely, I think these stocks are looked at as steady sort of earning models because every time there's a new paper, you need to get it rated, and I think this is only going to increase. So once again, I think not a runaway sort of a stock, but a good stock, a good sort of a stock to own in care rating. So the view would be positive on both, but I would really expect modest returns at this point in time.
Understood. You've already answered one of the stock queries that Senthil Veni had. Senthil Veni wrote into us. He's got a question on Sharda, Cropchem and care ratings for the next 2 to 3 years. Sharmila has already given her view on care ratings. Sharmila, do you also track Sharda, Cropchem, and would you advise getting into this particular stock for the next 2 to 3 years?
So, it's quite strange really, but this entire space seems to have
Okay, we seem to be having some sort of trouble with the connection. While we get in touch with her again, why don't we take a technical view? Do you have one on this particular concept?
Yes, Alex. If you look at this query is for a long-term view, so I would go for the higher time frame charts like in weekly. So in from the 2016 to May 2017, the stock has given a vertical wave formation from the level of 220 to 560, and after that the stock has been unfolded into the corrective pattern, and recently stock is taking the support of 78.6% of Fibonacci retracement. That is a last hope for the bulls. If stock is managed to sustain at the current market price, that is 290, so we could probably see the pullbacks towards the 340, 360, but longer term view target should be 440 by keeping a stop loss of 260 on a closing basis.
Okay, so those are the technical levels. Sorry, Sharmila, we had a bit of an issue with the connection, but you were making a point, I believe.
Yes, absolutely. With this entire sort of fertilizer and pesticide space, is definitely a space that I like. And I think that, the current monsoon has not been anything to write home about. It's not been a very bad monsoon, but a very average monsoon. And, typically what we've really seen is that these kind of stocks, in fact, find favor when sort of things, people are on the fence, so to speak. So I don't really track Sharda Cropchem specifically, but I'm positive on the entire space.
All right, we'll move on and take the next one, and it's from Rajendra Gandhi. He wants a view on HEG. I'm going to take a technical view here and take a look at where HEG is right now. It's at around 4,194. Now, Rajendra hasn't mentioned whether he wants a near-term or a long-term view. So, Dyaneshwar, your view here, how are you seeing trade here, perhaps the levels that you're going to watch out?
See, technically, if you look at the short-term time frame, so I would go buying in HEG only above if bulls manage to cross the 40 to 40 level for an 2 to 3 days perspective. So if bulls manage to take out the 40 to 30, 35 odd points, then probably we may see the rally towards the 4400, 4450 by keeping a stop loss of 4050.
Right. Okay, let's take Basudev's question from Facebook. He's got a question on Tata Steel and he's looking for a view for the next year to 2 years. He's bought 500 shares at 560 levels and the stock is currently trading, as you can see, at around 531. What's the view here, Sharmila? How are you seeing the company's performance of late, and of course going forward over the next year or two, that entire strategy of moving more domestically with regard to its operations and its potential sales?
Well, that news should definitely be taken positively, because of the concerns that one has to do with Brexit, etc. And they have now a significant presence in Europe. So in that sense, Tata Steel would have to face that headwind if that happens. But I think a near-term concern for metals as a space has also been, this whole the tariff war between US and China, and hopefully over the weekend we could hear some news about that. So I think that some of the shine of metals has definitely gone. I mean, the kind of value that they were offering at lower prices about a year and a half, 2 years back, that definitely seems to have gone. But at the same time, I think we need to, domestic demand picture stays good. So from that aspect, I continue to like the metal stocks. But yes, I think we need to keep our ear on the ground for the developments over the weekend.
Okay, Sharmila, also coming on DMart right now. We have a question from Mr. Gandhi. Again, how are you viewing valuations here? I reckon that it's still constructive when it comes to its fundamentals, but when your supermarkets will always be about valuations. It's now heading back towards the mark of 1500. In fact, it already has on an intraday basis. What's your view here for DMart? Sharmila, this one is for you.
Yeah, so I think really speaking, the kind of valuations market was talking of for Avenue supermarkets when it listed was something very difficult to digest. But now I think it's come off from those levels. But according to me, it's still not at levels where I would recommend the buy from a fundamental perspective. So it's a good stock if you have it, hold it. But I wouldn't really venture to buy fresh at this price.
Okay, well, let's talk about Tata Motors, which is, again, one of the underperformers today, down about 3% again, and that's because of the latest development that we've had from Jaguar Land Rover, the fact that the Wolverhampton engine facility in the UK is going to remain shut for a couple of weeks going into Christmas, and that's probably because of the demand scenario that they have. They've also mentioned that they are going to continue paying the staff that they have, or the workers from that plant, despite the freeze on production. I'm going to get both, hopefully, a technical view on Tata Motors as well as a fundamental view. Dyaneshwar, it's down about 3%. It's, from what I can see, touching lows that it hasn't seen in the last month at least. What would you have to say with regard to the near-term triggers for the stock on the charts?
Okay, Alex, if you look at the higher time frame chart, Tata Motors has fallen from the 280 levels towards the 164, and recently it has given a vertical wave formation. Again, the pullback towards the 200, but it could not be sustained and unfolded into the corrective pattern. As per the technical charts, indicators are showing that the divergence are coming into the charts. I would probably see if anyone wants to do the bottom fishing, those who can go long at the current market price by keeping a stop loss of 164. That is a recent low, and for probable initial leg of up move towards the 210, 220.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, let me just also get Sharmila in here. Sharmila, a lot's been said over the last couple of months at least on Tata Motors, but at current levels, a lot of people are saying that it is a value buy. I mean, bottom fishing on the charts as well, it's indicating that anybody looking to go long, so somebody with a relatively long-term time frame, would you consider getting in?
I think this is a very difficult question, very honestly, because I have really recommended this stock at higher levels and I've been a believer in this story. But a couple of things, as we all know, have gone sort of wrong for Tata Motors. And I think the entire issue has been that there are now too many moving parts. So you have, this whole Land Rover JLR, which actually drives the revenue, which has, been facing headwinds. You have now the domestic picture improving, but that is not a significant part of the basket. On the domestic front, in fact, in the passenger vehicle side, they have some really exciting launches coming up. I think even the things, internationally, that what they're trying to put in place for both JLR and Land Rover, those would yield results, but perhaps a couple of quarters down the line. So I'm really hesitant to put a sell on the stock, but at the same time, very honestly, it's not really given me much joy over this last year and a half. So I continue to hold the stock. But I think that again, once again, if you don't have the stock, then really, enter the stock with a degree of caution.
Okay, so that's Tata Motors, but I'm going to stick to the auto space, and we have a question on Maruti Suzuki as well. I'm going to take a technical view here. We have Jagan Nanduri. He says he's bought 70 shares of Maruti Suzuki at 8139. Please let me know your view. And well, he has a relatively shorter time span. It's not that long. It's for the year. So I'm going to take a technical view here. It's currently at 7,680. Dyaneshwar, what would you recommend he should do? Do you think that there's a chance that it could go back above that level in the next 1 year?
Yeah, if you look at the Maruti Suzuki's charts, and if simultaneously if you look at the auto sector also, recently we have seen that some sort of buying is coming into the auto sector.
Right.
You take an example of Maruti, Escorts, even in case of Bajaj Auto, So these are the stocks indicate that the something buying is happening into the on a lower level into auto space. So and if you look at the Maruti's overall chart structures on a lower time frame like in daily, it is making higher top higher bottom formation and marching towards the northern trajectory. Earlier the stock has been fallen from 9500 because 8250 was the support. That support has been broken down, and right now that support has become the resistance. So stock probably march towards the 8200. If that level will come, so traders should book their profit at the 8250.
You know, we have recently taken a call on Ashok Leyland where well, we were talking about Vinod Dasari, of course, but we've got a question. I don't know if you're going to be able to provide a technical view for such a long period, but as long as you can provide, I guess Anand Mishra would be happy with that. He's asking if he can buy Ashok Leyland based on the charts right now for the long term.
Okay, if you look at the right now, I have said about the whole story about the auto sector. But in case of auto in the auto sector, if you talk about the Ashok Leyland, so rather going for an Ashok Leyland, one should look at for an Bajaj Auto, because Bajaj Auto has taken a upward sloping channels support and it is marching towards the northern trajectory. But in case of Ashok Leyland, it has broken the intermediate trend line and it is trading below that. So avoid Ashok Leyland at the current market price. One should go for Bajaj Auto.
Okay, I'm going to take the next query, which is from Chetan Thail. His question is on Tata Elxsi. Let's take a fundamental view here because he wants a long-term view. Now, the thing about Tata Elxsi is that even at 1,000 rupees per share, it is the most expensive technology stock in the Indian markets, and it is much more expensive than TCS. This is after the kind of correction that we've seen. Of course, even at these levels, well, since the BQ FY19 price to earnings puts it at somewhere around 27 times, so it is at a premium to the rest of the index. Sharmila, what's your view here? Tata Elxsi, I'm sure there must be a reason behind it trading at a substantial premium, but what would your approach be?
Well, I like the stock, and I think that to my mind, the reason why it is given a premium to the rest of the sort of IT space is that, you know, I think that of late market has like sort of mid-cap IT ideas where you're sort of in a niche area, and Tata Elxsi, I think, nicely fits into that basket. The stock tends to be a little volatile in terms of price movement. So you can try and buy it on dips because you do get those dips in Tata Elxsi. I think just a while back it was below 1,000 rupees, for instance. But yes, I think this is a stock that I like within the mid-cap IT space.
Okay, well, let's talk about HDFC AMC. A number of our viewers are asking about HDFC AMC at current prices. Remember, the listing took place not too long back in August, and there was a lot of interest in this stock. It saw a significant up move at listing, and a lot of analysts at that point were talking about how there was a lot of heat with regard to the price and the movement of the stock. But let me get Sharmila in. At the current level of just about 1,500 on HDFC AMC for the long term, would you recommend a buy?
In HDFC AMC, yes, I think certainly. But I think once again, given the fact that listing was at such a fancy price, it might make sense to wait. Because, you know, I think that once we've seen this very often in the past that you get a lot of excitement on listing day and people talk of all kinds of targets and valuations, etc. But somewhere along the line, you do face some hurdles. Now, this is something that really the entire market is facing, and the stock is, of course, still higher than the IPO price. But I would still say that buy it in a staggered manner. But definitely, I think a lot of points in favor of buying an HDFC AMC.
All right, that's your view on HDFC AMC. We have one question from Soumya Ranjan Nayak. He says he has 3 lots of L&T Finance at about 144. What could I do right now? It's currently at around 143.75, so he's not making too much of a loss right now, but he wants a view. Dyaneshwar, how would you approach the stock right now?
See, L&T Finance recently stock was unfolded into the corrective pattern, and pattern was in a very tight range of 138 and on the lower side 130, 128 odd points. And day before yesterday, stock has managed to break out that level and manage. It is trading above that level. So he has taken a future. So I could say probably your risk-reward ratio should be favorable. So he can keep a stop loss of 140 for an initial leg of up move towards the 150-52.
Right.
Okay. All right, let's take another question. Well, this one's directed at you, but I'm still going to take it. Ankush Sachan wants to know about ONGC. He hasn't seen any significant impact of an up move in the prices of natural gas. Well, I'm just broadly going to ask about ONGC here. Sharmila, what's the view here, and would you at all play in the space, even if you're talking about the retailers, based on the kind of movement that you've seen in crude? Would you go in with a little caution and perhaps at least wait till December 6th when there is some clarity on production?
Well, I think more than all this news, what I'm really worried about with this entire pack, not just ONGC, but also the marketing companies, is the fact that crude itself has been very volatile in this last month and a half, and we've really, in our favor because it's come up from the high levels that it was at. But it also seems to suggest that it could very easily move up again, because the factors that drove the price of crude up were global factors. And we are getting into an election year. So, things could look a little dicey for us if crude were to head up again and we are getting into an election year. Then, what? Because we did see that rollback of almost 5 rupees come in October, and since then, sort of companies have accounted for that and then begun to cut prices. So, I think that it's best to really stay away from the pack. And I would prefer marketing companies over exploration companies at this point in time. But very honestly, I think at this, for now, the view would be to not buy anything.
Okay, well, we're hitting the rapid fire segment now, and I'd like to request our experts to keep their answers as short as possible so as to accommodate as many queries as possible. We have a question from Dr. Balaji. He says he holds Yes Bank at 260. His question is, should I average? Sharmila, I'm going to throw it back to you. One, would you average Yes Bank, and if so, at what rate? His entry price is at 260.
I think you should take a technical view on this, because I really had a buy at 200 rupees and the stock has come up from those levels. So perhaps, for an entry or an averaging point, you should take a technical view.
Okay.
Yeah, if you look at the overall chart structure, it is quoting a downward sloping channel, but yes, pullback has been come. So breakout level, breakdown level was the near about 170 to 75. So one can go short at that level.
Okay. Another short call. So we've got some contrarian views. I'll talk to you about that later. But right now, Mayank Saraf is asking about paper stocks. He's asking if you can make a fresh entry, some updates about closure of mills in China. Sharmila, what's the update here? As in, what would you say on paper mills?
No, I'm sorry, which sector?
On paper stocks.
Paper, yes, I think the news flow for a lot of these stocks is good. And a lot of sectors also. I would add dyes and pigments and certain specialty chemicals also to that list. So because of all this news flow, I think they are looking good in the Indian context.
Okay, all right. Bajaj Finance, current level, Dyaneshwar. Oh, okay, all right. So, well, Sharmila, I'll take one with you. Bajaj Finance at current levels.
I like the stock. I like both Bajaj Finance as well as Bajaj Finserv. I think within the NBFC space, these are definitely two stocks we can look at.
What about India Glycols? We've got Gobind Vijay asking, is it the right time to enter for the long term? Sharmila?
I'm afraid I don't have a view.
Okay.
I don't have a view.
All right. Okay. What about metal stocks? Which one would you recommend at current prices?
I like Hindalco.
Okay.
All right, we've run out of time, guys. So I'm going to take a moment to thank both our experts, Sharmila and Dyaneshwar, for joining us and taking us through the viewer queries, of course, helping them as well. But that's a wrap on this edition of Ask BQ.
Well, I do realize that we haven't been able to answer all of your questions today, but do bear with us. Come back on Monday and we try to address as many of your queries as possible on Monday. Thanks so much for your patience and thanks so much for joining us on this edition of Ask PQ. Up next is Power Lunch, so do stay tuned. This is Bloomberg Quint.